Greetings, YouTube. You know, in the midst of this week's boycott discussions, sometimes it can feel overwhelming for me because I hear from so many different sides of this issue. People who think that it's a waste of time, people who think it's the most important thing they've ever done, people who are whales, people who are free to play. It feels like there's just so many different perspectives, and like I said, it can be overwhelming to kind of figure out what page can everybody be on as we move forward. What are some things we can talk about that regardless of whether or not you spent $100,000 in this game or $1, you can still say, hey, that's a good idea. I'm for that. And so that's kind of my challenge that I'm giving to myself going forward, especially in the next few days to week. How can I make videos on my channel that unite people, not just talk about things that are clearly dividing people? And so today I wanted to focus on something that I truly am excited to talk about because I think it's one of those things that regardless of where you stand with the boycott, you can support. So we know now officially, according to the Kabam forums, that at the end of June, we should finally see the man, the myth, the never been a legend before, but maybe that'll change, Hulkbuster, as a newly released post-beta champ. And hopefully, so much of what people liked about the reworking of Hulkbuster stayed with what the feedback was. I know I certainly tried my best to say, hey, what you're doing with him improves him, don't lessen it. But there's still so many people like Hulkbuster on your roster that aren't buffed yet. And so when we talk about things that are going to get people excited to play the game, I hear all the time, Prof, I can't afford 300 units apiece for featured Grandmaster or featured Cavalier crystals. That's like $10 per crystal. But I also hear, dang it, I just pulled my fourth of this trash champ again. Or all I have is trash 6 stars, blah, blah, blah. So when you have burnout, it's because there's a lot of champions in the game that you can't use and that you'd never take to rank 2 as a 6-star, for example. So the challenge is, and I think the best way I can do this is actually by going to my 4-star champs, because I have more 4 stars than 5 stars, even with older champs, is to talk about from each class who really should be buffed. Who are the champions that so many people have that they would love to play the game a lot more if they just made them better? Because they don't have to spend on featured Cavaliers, or they don't have to go for a featured 5-star, 6-star. They've already got the champion. Maybe as a 5-star. Heck, maybe as a 6-star. But they just need to be better. I want to start out with the science class, and I want to talk about OG Captain America. This is a guy that you shouldn't land on and be like, dang it, this sucks. This is Cap. He should bust a Cap. And maybe that means, of course, not in a literal way because he doesn't carry a gun, but he should cause some impressive damage. He shouldn't just be somebody that takes little block damage because of a high block proficiency. So OG Cap should be much better. Even though they've been tweaking him, Sentry should still be way better. And I do think that one of my favorite ideas for an easy way to make a champion better is to take Abomination and stack poisons as an attacker the same way so many champs like Wolverine, X-23, OG Black Panther, etc. stack bleeds, or the new Black Widow, Deadly Origin stacks shocks. Why is it that you can only count on Abomination stacking those poisons if you are being hit as a defender? Why can't you stack up to like 10 poisons as an attacker? There are so few champions out there that are poison immune. That would make me so much more excited to take Abomination into a fight. And sure, maybe I'd still only use him in the arena, but I'd have more fun using him. He would just be a more enjoyable champ. I don't understand why that's the case. I also think that Miles Morales deserves far more love from the creators of this game than he's getting. And he's one of those champs that I get annoyed when I play with because with that random evade, which I get is mainly for defense, even though I don't know who uses Miles Morales now in defense. Maybe with the new global nodes, he's become a really good defender, but I haven't seen too much of that from video that's been submitted to me since I don't do Alliance War anymore. But regardless, he's not a great attacker, right? And he deserves much better love as a science champion. So Miles Morales, abomination. And then don't get me started on Joe. He needs to fix himself because he currently looks fixed. He's so useless. Joe Fix-It. This is a guy who pretty much needs a rework from top to bottom. And I get that he's not even available in all rarities. But at the same time, this should not be somebody that you land on and think, oh, well, that was a waste of a crystal. And yet it is. It truly is. So Joe Fix-It, Miles Morales. I'm going to go Abomination. I'm going to go fairly quick on this. So obviously there's going to be people that they're like, well, why didn't you talk about this champ? Well, that's true, but I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long. So we're going to go to the skill class now. I love OG Daredevil's signature ability. To be able to relax and dodge projectiles without worrying about there being even a 1% chance to be hit when you have a max sig is awesome. But he hits like a true wet noodle. And speaking of Daredevil, Netflix should not have canceled Daredevil, but we should have canceled Netflix Daredevil because that guy sucks. And Falcon, I've seen so many memes that focus on thinking you landed on Blade, but you got Falcon instead. Come on, Kabam. Falcon, both Daredevils. I like Moon Knight, but I do think he should still be better. The whole moon phase thing still kind of confuses me in general. And this is a guy, you look at the upgrade. He's the only champ I know in the game still that you need 2 different classes. And I understand, I bring this up and they're like, well, it's pretty clever because it's comic accurate. Well, I don't care. It's just annoying. It's annoying to have 2 different classes of a tier 3 catalyst to take him up. Why? And his animations are terrible, particularly his special one, which often when I use it to get that true strike, I just get hit. Like I'll use it and then there's this delay and then the defender will charge me and I get really annoyed and upset. So as far as the mutant class, my favorite X-Men of all time is Gambit. And I'm not saying he doesn't have some utility because he's got a decent stun, but he should be way better. He should be way better than the game has given him credit to be. Psylocke should cause more damage. Deadpool? Are you freaking kidding me, Deadpool X-Force? Even the animations of this guy are just pure lazy. He should be so much better. You should open a Deadpool and you should get so excited to play him. Not the case. And then Magneto. People forget that Magneto actually was nerfed in patch 12.0. It wasn't just the major hitters of Scarlet Witch. I mean, Magneto, Ultron was nerfed a little bit, but Scarlet Witch, Thor, Doctor Strange, the list goes on and on. And I remember thinking at the time, why would you touch Magneto? I don't even know anybody that uses him, period. But he was tweaked. He was made worse. So both Magnetos should be way better. I think Cyclops could use more utility. Sorry, Kabam Mike, I know that's your lover that I'm stepping on. Deadpool X-Force, obviously. And those are the major highlights along with Psylocke and Gambit. I know I'm going fairly quickly, but I don't want this video to be, overly long. All right, now let's go to the Cosmic class. And let's talk specifically, when it comes to the Cosmic class, about a couple of champions that annoy me. Superior Iron Man. The Iron Man, OG, and Superior both. Let's get that out of the way. Same animations, total laziness. They've got to be tweaked. And I don't just mean a different buff. I mean the animation should also change, at least on one of them. University of Phoenix shouldn't make you just think you need to go online with her lack of utility. The champion as an offensive weapon, pretty dang small. Heimdall was my Abyss MVP because of the synergy, but that guy should be way better. My boy Suida loves him some Kamala Khan, who I affectionately refer to, not so affectionately, as Satan herself. But she deserves a buff. And Suida, then you're just going to have an even better choice for your rank 5, right? You're just going to be so thankful. Groot and King Groot, very top of the list. People say, Prof, what champion do you think needs to be buffed the most next? I kind of go back and forth between Groot and Iron Patriot. Those are my 2 standard. But Venompool also is always right up there. Venom should not be insanely better than Venompool, and yet he is. Drax got nerfed a little bit with the Mordo quote-unquote frame rate issue, which is still one of the biggest lies Kabam has ever said in the history of the game, which is also saying something. So many Cosmic Champs. This class is just so meh. There's just so many champions that you land on and you think, dang it. And they've done some huge improvement on it, to be fair. Gamora's way better than she used to be. Carnage, Venom. But there's still a long way to go to make this class the class that it should be. The class of its own. All right, when you go to the tech class, Howard the Suck, he's a champion I've always had a weird love of. I thought his specialty when it came out was so cool. But people laugh at him when they land on him, and there should be no reason. He should still get at least a little bit more utility in this. Besides that, you've got the aforementioned OG Iron Man. I still get annoyed when I think about what Civil Warrior should be. So between Civil Warrior, War Machine, Iron Patriot, Red Skull, certainly as an attacker at times, but I wouldn't put him before the others. But OG Iron Man, Howard the Suck, Iron Package, Civil Warrior, War Machine. All the top of the list of the tech class of champs that people would be so thankful if they improved upon. Now, when it comes to this class, I actually think it's one of the better classes overall. I miss pre-patch 12.0 Doctor Strange. I really wish if you hadn't played the game until after patch 12.0, you would know, and I'm sure there's YouTube videos out there, how good he used to be. Loki, underrated, but still deserves a buff, especially given how instead of his stealing buffs now, you've got those passive versus active buffs, which really nerf him. And Kabam really did Loki a disservice when they started tweaking that in the game. Diablo, he just drinks himself to death. He's just a warning for alcoholism. He needs to be better. But the champion that everybody lands on the most, believe it or not, and my boy the Analyzer has a great video on this, Thor Jane Foster is one of the better counters to Medusa. But she should be better. And I am a little conflicted on that because since I mainly just follow the movies, I haven't seen Thor Jane Foster in as much as I have seen her in contractual disputes. But we don't want to land on that champion and just think, dang it, because so many people have 6-star Thor Jane Foster. If you made her amazing, you would just make so many people happy. And that's kind of the biggest takeaway from this video, right? It's that all these champions we're talking about as 5 and especially as 6 stars, you're just helping people not be burnt out and want to rank up, to take that generic 1 to 2 rank up gem they might have for completing Act 6, or at least just their roster in general, feeling like they're not stuck with trash. So I know there are so many different champions that I didn't have time to touch on, even champions in front of me that I'm looking at that I'm thinking, you should have touched on Mordo, you should have touched on Juggernaut. I get it. But my goal was to have this be no longer than 15 minutes, and we're already at 13 minutes. And so I just feel like that's a good place to stop for this one. Who are the champs that you would like to see most? If you could only pick one champion to buff of any class to follow the Hulkbuster beta format, who would it be? Comment below, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching and supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions, and in many cases, when you open crystals, Marvel Casino of Champions YouTube channel.